Are you ready? Yes, we are. Welcome to Estoril for Ferrari Challenge and Trofeo Pirelli qualifying. And our first qualifying session of the Trofeo Pirelli category about to get underway here. As you can see, weather conditions pretty fair, to be honest with you. Bit of cloud around on this Estoril circuit. And to the best of our knowledge, first time Ferrari Challenge has made a visit to this Portuguese circuit. We are about 25 kilometers or thereabouts from central Lisbon. It's a challenging circuit, 4.182 kilometers. There are 13 turns, 4 of them left and 9 of them are right-handers, and that's precisely where we are. And of course, we urge you, as indeed you are, to follow us on @Ferrari Races to enjoy not only the race action but also the qualifying action as well, and so much more besides. Become part of the Ferrari family. We would love that, and thank you for being there today. There you can see the air temperature is 21 degrees, the track temperature is 40 degrees. There is about 12 kilometers per hour of wind around, which is really rather less than being experienced in the UK at the moment, where the weather conditions are less than favorable. Alessio Dono will be going out for qualifying shortly. Alessio Dono then, who has had a very, very interesting season and leads the Drivers' Championship for Trofeo Pirelli drivers. We have a mix of both Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers across this qualifying session, delineated by the red colours on the top of the windscreen of Trofeo Pirelli cars. And there you can see just one of the cars from Scuderia Prague, and great to see the Scuderia Prague team here this weekend, and always engineer a very, very competent 488 Challenge Evo, entering Hendrik Viol. And there is Lucky Kira, we can see, former two-time Ferrari Challenge UK champion, racing in the European Series at the moment, and driving in the Trofeo Pirelli AM class is Lucky Kira. Not very often Lucky plays up to the cameras, but choosing to do so today. He's currently PE6 in the Drivers' Championship in Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. And final stages of preparation getting underway for a number of our drivers then before the 30-minute qualifying session will be on. Inside the Scuderia Prague garage then, as drivers getting ready to get out there and do their qualifying session. There is Danilo Del Favaro, who's just quietly contemplating the 30 minutes to come, and as the camera focuses on him, he decides that exit stage left and continue his preparations, perhaps without the glare of one of our TV cameras. Carlo there is engineer to Alessio Dono, and Alessio Dono then, as I mentioned, leading the Trofeo Pirelli Championship at the moment. Some spectators here enjoying not only the sunshine, but also the great action that will come as Mohammed Hamdi then from Ezal Arab Automotive Company with the shades on. Big thumbs up from Mohammed then. About to get in the car and get this session underway. And there we can see Tom Fleming from FF Corsa, and Tom Fleming driving the number 73 car for HR Owen. He's had a win this year and is certainly chasing Alessio Dono in the points. There is a bit of a deficit for him to make up, but Tom, certainly when I spoke to him yesterday, was pretty comfortable with this Estoril circuit. Says that you get one really good lap alongside him there. Also in stages of getting ready for this qualifying session. It was good to see James Owen as well. Another very good driver, although he drives in the Pirelli AM. As we get the session underway, then the official 30 minutes have started, and very soon we will get some cars out there on track and try and deliver the lap time they need to get them as far up the grid as possible. So pit lane is open. And there, Tom Fleming then just jumping into his car. Expecting the temperatures when it comes to race time a little later today to be even warmer than they are currently. And blower operating there just to keep some circulating air on Tom Fleming then for HRO in FF Corsa. There we can see from a different angle him being strapped in and belted up. Of course, full and very, very effective safety harness, head and neck support, the hands device worn by all the drivers in the Ferrari Challenge, and it's a great view inside the Challenge. Here is the car of Franz Engstler, about to make his way out on track. Franz Engstler, who's had, well, some 5 wins and a P2 and a P21, which took in the Le Mans race in France, as Mohammed Hamdi then just inspecting his office, if you will, before he jumps into the car. So Franz Engstler is doing a very good job in the Trofeo Pirelli AM standings, leading that by a bunch of points over Hanno Laskowski, who's P2 in the Trofeo Pirelli AM Championship. Lucky Kira then, who's got an altogether more relaxed attitude at the beginning of the qualifying session and choosing not to go out straight away. Various drivers adopt different strategies, Franz Engstler being one of those, choosing to get out straight away and try and post a lap time. So we have 4 drivers, maybe 5 drivers that have made their way out onto track. Franz Engstler is one of those we're watching right now. Also out there is Kim Eriksson. So too is Otto Blank, along with Nick Haller and Hanno Laskowski. They have all decided to go early in the session. Bear in mind the tyres that they quali on are the tyres that they will start the race on as well. So there is a bit of strategic thought that goes into how you use the tyres to give you good tyre longevity for the course of the race as well. Danilo then, who shied away from the focus of our cameras, is now inside the car. And the Formula Racing team then for Penske Sportwagen Hamburg just strapping him into the car, ready to go out. And we're about 3-4 minutes away from seeing any real meaningful lap times, I would suggest, as we watch Hanno Laskowski make his way around this Estoril circuit for Emil Frey Sportivo, a hugely successful team, Emil Frey, and they can engineer some race-winning cars, that's for sure. And Hanno Laskowski would love to come here and to add to his win tally, which ranks only 1 so far this year, but he's been so consistent in the points with P3s and P2s littering his chart of success. So it's been a really good battle between himself and Franz Engstler, who is leading the Trofeo Pirelli AM points at the moment. So the Trofeo Pirelli AM cars, you can identify those from that white strip across the top of the windscreen. The Trofeo Pirelli drivers have a red strip across the top of the windscreen. And that's how you can identify which particular class within Trofeo Pirelli that each driver is racing in. When it comes to qualifying and racing, they all race together but are scored independently within those classifications that we were talking about. So Hanno Laskowski accelerates. And share your passion for Ferrari races, please. We would love you to do that. And Hanno's race win this year came in Spielberg in Austria in the first race of 2 that weekend. Since then, of course, we've been to Le Mans, which was the scene of such success for Ferrari with the hypercar. So first real meaningful lap time comes from Hanno Laskowski, which is a 1:43.097. Expect the times to be significantly better than that before we close out the session. In fact, we are anticipating times into the 1:39. So we will see. This is Otto Blank then, who's gone quickest of anyone across sector 1. If the S1, S2 or S3 are coloured either purple or blue, it means for purple. It's quicker than anyone. For blue, it means it's a personal best, and it's neither, if it's neither of those two colours, it's quite clearly an average sector. So Otto Blank then, who is currently fourth fastest, and Hanno Laskowski is going quicker still than he did last time around. His sector 1 time has been something of an improvement. Otto Blank doing a good job here for Luick Sportivo and Herta Racing. I was in conversation with Frank Herta, team principal of Herta Racing, earlier on. And of course they have engineered the pole position in Shell, the other class of cars that race here in Ferrari Challenge. Here comes Otto Blank now, about to break the timing beam. And is this an improvement? Indeed it is. He goes up 1 place to P3. Hanno Laskowski, though, is the fastest. And is he going to bet even his quick time of 1:43.097? Well, that's the target, that's the aim. And as he now heads on the start-finish straight towards the timing line, let's see if he betters his own best time. Indeed he does, by a huge margin. It's a 1:41.234, so that's a full 1.8 seconds better. Here comes Franz Engstler, who's also going quickly with purples in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So the target for Franz Engstler is a 1:41.234 as he rounds the final turn, then gives it 100% on the loud pedal and heads towards the timing line. This will be an improvement, and it's an improvement all the way to the top. By taking a full second out of Hanno Laskowski's time, Franz Engstler has delivered a 1:40.182. 1:40.182. So I think the aspirations I have of us getting into the 1:39s are pretty strong. James Owen doing a good job in qualifying as well. He is currently third fastest for Meridian Modena FF Corsa. Personal best through Sector 1. Cumulative time he's targeting is a 1:08.374, and it's a 1:09.873. So he's a second and a half down on the Franz Engstler and Hanno Laskowski's time, but still a very good performance. And is doing a good job out there is James Owen, new to the Ferrari Challenge this year, and has been a very, very welcome addition, has James, whose best finish saw him just off the podium in the first race at Misano with a P4. So he rounds out this particular lap now by crossing the timing line and goes to P3 with a 1:42.117. Two drivers in the 140s. They are Franz Engstler and Hanno Laskowski, the P1 and P2 at the moment. Also out there on track, Hanno Laskowski and Franz Engstler that we talked about. Also James Owen, Kim Eriksson, Otto Blank and Nick Haller. Talking of which, we pick up on the multicolored number 81 car of Nick Haller right now. Now, Sector 1, Sector 2, both personal bests as he climbs uphill now into the final sector. If he can nail it all together in the final sector, this could be an improvement from his P6 position. Interestingly, none of the 4 Trofeo Pirelli drivers have chosen to go out yet, and they're leaving it until later in the session. So let's see what Nick Haller can do. Rounding the final right-hander now, heading towards the timing line. Target time for Nick Haller, well, it was a 1:40.182, but he delivers a 1:45.979, so it's movement, no movement. Now, also out is the first of our Trofeo Pirelli drivers to show that, Simon Ladniak. This is James Owen, whose lap times this time around not as good as his previous lap time, to be honest. So this is probably not going to be an improvement for James Owen. As I mentioned, driving for Meridian Modena FF Corsa. It's still Franz Engstler, Hanno Laskowski. James Owen is third fastest and stays third fastest. As I said, there's no improvement from James on this occasion. Kim Eriksson is fourth fastest, Otto Blank fifth, and the best of the Pirelli drivers is this man, Simon Ladniak, for Gomes Scuderia GT, who's gone quicker than anyone through Sector 1 and Sector 2. So a 1:41.82 is the benchmark set by Franz Engstler, who of course is a Shell AM driver. Simon is a Shell driver. And he's had a podium this year, but the race winners eluded him. Love that to be righted, and wrong to be righted here in Portugal. It's a 1:40.110, so 7/100ths quicker than Franz Engstler, but still not quite into the 1:39s, which is where we are expecting the times to be come the end of this qualifying session of Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli drivers, whether they be Pirelli drivers or Shell drivers, identified by, as I said, those colour strips across the top of the windscreen. Red for Pirelli and white for Pirelli AM. Simon, as you can see, is improving because S1 has gone purple. Now, he has got traffic ahead of him, which may hamper his efforts. He's taken a tenth and a bit out of the first sector. Hard on the brakes. You can see the front end of the car compress, the suspension compressing the car as he uses the braking force on this 488 Challenge Evo car. That is the car for the Ferrari Challenge across all regions, by regions, because we race not only here in Europe, but also in the UK, in North America and Japan as well. Through that hairpin where you climb up as well, and immediately you're into that right-hander. Sector 2 has been a good sector for him. Great driving from some of the other drivers, keeping out of Simon's way. They can see he's on a hot lap. Is this going to be the first of our 1:39 times? So final turn is about to be completed by Simon Ladiak with just under 18 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. He heads towards the timing line, and is it going to be? Yes, it is. Our first 1:39 time. So sub 1:40 is set by Simon Ladiak with a 1:39.874, a clear 3/10 ahead of Franz Engstler. There we can see him just taking the curb and climbing uphill through that chicane. Good job done by Simon Ladiak, who goes provisionally P1, but we are yet to see the likes of Max Mugelli and Alessio Dono, and also Tom Fleming out there in Trofeo Pirelli. This is the car of Hanno Laskowski, who's P2 in class, P3 overall. And he's about 8.5 tenths down. And this is James Owen, who is P5 overall, but P4 within the Trofeo Pirelli AM class. And this is the number 92 car, new into the Ferrari Challenge for Hendrik Viol, the Scuderia Prague driver. Loving the purple livery across that 488 Challenge Evo. Scuderia Prague then, as I mentioned in our opening of the program, they know how to engineer a very, very quick car. And Hendrik using that to have set personal bests through Sector 1 and Sector 2, but this is not going to be a time that troubles the front runners at the moment. Really rather more of an installation lap, I would suggest. Third fastest within class, and he does improve, to be fair, to go second fastest within class, so better than Hanno Laskowski, which relegates Hanno, but Hanno comes back almost immediately with a slightly quicker time. Now let's go on board here. We can bring you many onboard shots. On board with Nicolo Rossi for Kessel Racing, who has done a personal best through Sector 1. Well, that's no surprise. And will he do the same in Sector 2? Loving this onboard shot, running downhill into this right-hander now, which really, really is quite tight. You can see, keep the car away from the apex to give you perfect trajectory before having to nail it through. It's almost a double apex turn. Then into this chicane where you're uphill as well. First left, then right, and then back full on the gas and give it absolutely everything you can. Not many moments to relax here on the Estoril circuit, just two real straights, if you will, to be able to do that. Now this Parabolica now heading towards the timing line as we ride on board with Nicolo Rossi. And good time from him. And he improves by 4 places to go P4 in class, P5 overall. So well done to the Kessel Racing driver. And still yet to see the likes of Max Mugelli and Alessio Dono and Thomas Fleming, the Trofeo Pirelli drivers, out there on track, as we have reached just the halfway mark of this qualifying session. So, well, there we can see the number 7 car of Mohammed Hamdi, who is currently 10th fastest for Estoril team. Sector 1 and Sector 2 were PBs for him, so this could be an improvement relative to his in-class place at the moment. Also a big welcome to Ruslan Sadri for the Scuderia Prague driver, who's also joining us this weekend. And Mohammed Hamdi goes to P5 within class, which is P6 overall. So a number of drivers leaving it quite late before they're coming out. Danilo Del Favaro, we've not yet seen a meaningful time from Danilo. I expect him to be quick. He is also another Trofeo Pirelli AM driver who I find it absolutely extraordinary. Danilo has not been on the podium thus far this year. I would have almost not have played money on the fact that he's had a podium, but he hasn't. Also with us, as we look at the Penske Sportwagen Hamburg engineered Danilo Del Favaro car. As we mentioned, Hamburg and Germany. I can introduce my German colleague alongside me who speaks better English than I do, Nico Spalek. I find it almost unbelievable. Danilo Del Favaro hasn't been on the podium.
No, and certainly that comment about better language command certainly doesn't apply. Danilo Del Favaro crossed the timing line and wasn't shown as on our timing screen. That can only mean that while completing his lap, he must have run afoul of track limits, because immediately the lap that he finished was disallowed again. Certainly that's the indication from our timing screen. Yes, indeed, as we can see, he had a 1:40.483, which would have put him into 4th position, but as the lap doesn't count, that's not to be.
Here's Alessio Dono, Nico. Forgive me interrupting you, but you can see him weaving from side to side here. The Radici Automobili driver, who is leading the Drivers' Championship and has had quite some success this year. He's another one of the young stars that vault and propel their racing career via the Ferrari Challenge, which is such a proving ground for talent. Now, Alessio has had 4 wins, 2 additional podiums, and a 7th place. So he's had a pretty stellar year so far. And at the moment, he's heading Tom Fleming in terms of the Drivers' Championship. There you can see, center picture, there was looking on and enjoying the action was Alexander Nussbaumer. This is Franz Engstler, or that was Franz Engstler that we were looking at. So, yeah, Alessio Dono has had a real purple patch in the career, as we see the Hendrik Viol car from Scuderia Prague. Yeah, we're expecting, where Alessio has been something of a master, if I may say that, and what amazes me is that I can see from one of our other feeds into our studio here, Simon Ladniak is out of the car. He's happy with the time that he's delivered. He feels it's the best that he can deliver, and therefore is saving the tyres for the race. But Alessio Dono has been a master of qualifying, Nico. He is able to just get out there, put a lap in, and park the car. Do you think that will be the case today?
Well, it's certainly got to be in his roadmap for today. And we heard from some of the drivers how abrasive, how aggressive this tarmac is. And because of the start and stop nature, especially of that 3rd sector, and we've seen that corkscrew type combination of corners where you really have to slam on the brakes, and that's exactly where Tom Fleming is right now. So that takes a lot of wear and tear out of those tires, and therefore Tom said yesterday you really only have 1 perfect lap where that tire performance is ideal. Now we can see something about track limits. I'm not sure if that's on the current or the previous lap. We will find out.
I think it's on the current lap, because I saw him running wide behind between the double apex turn. I mean, if this lap counted, it would be a brilliant lap, because it's a 1:38.271. Now let's see if that stays there.
holding our breaths collectively. Alessio Donno is holding nothing. He is going for it, and he was almost a tenth quicker than that aforementioned pole lap through Sector 1. Sector 2 line is coming up in quite a few more seconds as we watch him, and he also goes very wide. Now, there is a driver's briefing on Friday, and the drivers are being told exactly where they can run wide, especially when you've got a gravel bed on the outside that kind of forms an automatic natural border of what you can do. So there is going to be very specific points on the track where track limits are enforced by the track itself, which is a gravel bed, and where race control will have a very keen look at what you do in terms of track limit. Thomas Fleming is currently going again, but not on a trajectory for an improvement. Alessio Donno, however, just edges him. 2 100ths, and in fairness, Alessio Donno did exactly what Tom did in terms of seemingly exceeding the track limits, but presumably that is one of the turns where Claudio Garavini, our race director, has deemed it acceptable, because Tom Fleming's time did stay, and he is now, as you can see, he's slowing down, ready to build himself up for the next lap, but it's very, very close at the top, because there's just 2 100ths between our top 2 Trofeo Pirelli drivers. Top 4 drivers are all Pirelli drivers who've hustled out of the pit lane. It's Alessio Donno. This car that you can see right now is P1. Tom Fleming is P2. Simon Ladniak is P3. And Max Mugelli is P4. Now for the AM drivers, it is Franz Engsler from Hendrik Viola's. Alessio Donno does run wide and picks up some gravel there. And it'll be interesting to see whether that will be considered a infringement of those track limits, but in any event, it will have fairly nobbled Alessio's opportunity on this lap, and you can see he's timed right out of it and really, really slowed down. So he will have to go again, which makes me wonder, particularly with what drivers were telling us yesterday about, you know, you really only get one lap where it's absolutely optimum in qualifying. Alessio is going to have to try and do it all over again. I mean, he is top at the moment, but he's only top by 2 100ths. What a lap from Marco Zanazzi, Trofeo Pirelli AM driver, who's just split the Trofeo Pirelli drivers and gone fastest in class, P3 overall. That's a very, very good showing from Marco Zanazzi. Absolutely, and as you said, I mean, Alessio Donno's lead is slim. However, there you can see, yeah, that just overcooked it just a little bit. But, you know, a thousandth of a second, if it stands at the end of the timing screen, is enough to be ahead of the other driver. And in fairness, as you already said, the peak operational window of the tires for a quali lap, I mean, we're not talking about race pace, we're talking about a quali lap where every 10th, 100th of a second really counts. Yes. I rather think Alessio will, and you can see, I mean, he's purple in the first sector. I'm almost surprised he's going again, but he maybe feels like he has one more of those quali laps in him. I think this is it after that. Whatever the outcome of that lap is, and whatever Tom Fleming does in the meantime, he's probably going to duck into pit lane, because he'll feel P1, P2 obviously makes a huge difference, but it's not worth it to ruin your tires in quali and then be stranded in here for 30 minutes in the race. Well, Alessio has gone quickest in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Tom, incidentally, had a track limits violation in Sector 1 last time around. Alessio now looks like this could potentially be an improvement. It was a 1:38.244, the last provisional pole time from Alessio Donno, 1:38.244, as he crosses the timing line with a 1:38.616, so lost time in that final sector. Here comes Max Mugelli. Oh, we can hear in the background someone has lost the back end of the car, I think, but target time for Max Mugelli then, cumulative, is a 1:07.422. He's way down on that, almost a second down on that. So the order is Alessio Donno, Tom Fleming, then Marco Zanazzi, the very fastest of the Pirelli AM drivers. Then it is Simon Ladniak, who banked his lap very early on in the session ahead of Max Mugelli, who we are watching right now with
Just under 5 minutes of this session remaining. Now you can see there a puncture for the number 9 car of Danilo Del Favaro, and we have a red flag. So the Penske Sportwagen Hamburg driver. Oh, and Nick Haller is off as well, Nico. So there has been, I would suggest, now whether there was some fluid on the exit of that turn, because you've got two drivers in strife there, Nico.
Yeah, either that or it was Danilo Del Favaro seeing the stranded car and thereby losing his rhythm through
possibly,
possibly. That's only conjecture at this part. What we know is that this session has been red flagged with 4 minutes 44 seconds, which is just on the brink of where you question whether it makes sense to restart the session. Thus far, we have no indication.
John Dillon, one of our drivers, looks on, and there you can see the Scuderia Prague team taking data out of the car. I would suggest, Nico, at 4:44 remaining, not absolutely sure we're going to see the cars back out again, but as soon as we get the information from race control, we will bring that to you. As you say, it's right on the cusp of whether it's worth opening up the pit lane again and allowing those drivers to go out. And I would suggest with 4 3/4 minutes, the time you've gone out and done installation lap, it's going to be a very, very busy track. I'm not so sure. Not so sure. So as the session was suspended, it was Alessio Dono ahead of Tom Fleming. For the AM drivers, Marco Zanazzi had bested Franz Engstler by a margin, it has to be said. The best time from Marco Zanazzi, a 1:39.825. Franz Engstler, 1:40, 1:82. Some of our Passione Ferrari spectators there enjoying the action. And that's the car of Hanno Laskowski, if I'm not mistaken. Sure enough, it is. So we await information and await whether we can explain what happened through that turn. We can see the Nick Haller car in the wall on the right-hand side of the picture, and on the left-hand side of the picture was Danilo Del Favaro losing the back end of the car. Now, whether that was as a result of maybe some fluid or whether it was the result of him making, as you say, corrective movement to try and avoid the Nick Haller car, we don't know. Simon Ladniak then, good quality from him. P3 in class, P4 overall. It's going to be presumably a second row start for Simon Ladniak. That is, if we do not resume with 4 3/4 minutes remaining. Top speed standings then, Alessio Dono the quickest, 277.5 kilometers per hour. When you look at the Tom Fleming top speed, 273.5, you can see there is something of a difference there. Comes some super slow-mo replays for you. So some really rather lovely images to show you there. And no more information from race control at the moment with regards to whether we will run again. But there you can see cars are potentially lined up in the pit lane, ready to go out and complete the 4 3/4 minutes that are remaining. And here we can take a look at some more images, including those of Alessio, Dono, and Lucky Kira. And Tom Fleming then putting his race suit on. As you can see, cars are lining up, and the first of those to get out there, if we do go back, is Lucky Kira, who, to be fair, is languishing down there, P8 in class. You would expect to see Lucky further up the order than that. So conversations going on, of course, and whether we will get back out there again remains to be seen, but I would suggest with cars lined up that we are going to complete the 4 3/4 minutes that remain, Nico.
Yeah, definitely. I think if race control felt that for one reason or the other, and the only reason I can imagine for them to make a call to not restart the session would be that it made no sense in terms of the time remaining, they would have made that call. The only theoretical other possibility would be a damage to the barrier that would be requiring such an extensive amount of repairs that it would run too late.
Yes.
I don't think that we had any indication of that being the case. Obviously, we didn't see the entirety of the incident, so it is a possibility, but we are hopeful that we will see the 488 Challenge Evos in motion and not just in static position in the pit lane.
Well, all the indications would suggest that we are going to see that, and your wish will be granted. Now, Danilo Del Fabro was one of the drivers that we saw. He seemed to lose the back end of the car. Now, whether that was as a result, as we say, of fluid on the track, and we are going to restart at 12:17, so exactly 1 minute from now. So the session is going to restart. The remaining 4 3/4 minutes of qualifying will be brought to you. See, we're good to you, bringing you extra value, elongating our qualifying program for you, and their confirmation that the session will restart in exactly 45 seconds from now. It's going to be a very, very busy track. That's for sure, because those that want to go out and run will go out and run, and Lucky Kira is going to be one of them. You can see him right at the start of the queue of cars to get out of the pit lane. And then, where are we now? Oh, just 20 seconds away from the flag that marshal is holding, being waved somewhat vigorously, I would suggest, to get this session back on again. There will be a number of drivers that will have decided that they have given their all and done the best that they can and will not be going out again. And there will be others that will give it everything as we watch the red extinguish. And for us to go to green, Lucky Kira is one of those. Another one of those making the way down the pit lane very rapidly is going to be the car of Mohammed Hamdi, although there's no rapidity about it at the moment. Ah, there we go. Into gear and away we go, Mohammed.
And there's only a very short queue of cars that filed out of this pit lane, to be honest.
Now this man, not him, this man, Marco Zanazzi, is P1 in class in Trofeo Pirelli Am. He's clearly decided that he is sufficiently ahead of Franz Engstler, who is also not going to go out again. He's sufficiently ahead of Franz Engstler that he's parked the car and decided enough is enough. Armin Arifpour we could see going out in the number 88 car. So it is Alessio Dono from Tom Fleming for the Trofeo Pirelli cars. For Pirelli Am cars is Marco Zanazzi and Franz Engstler. Now, by my reckoning, Nico, we've only got 3 cars out there on track, and they are Lucky Kira, the car we're looking at the moment, Mohammed Hamdi, and also Armin Arifpour.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with Armin Arifpour, he is P last currently, so for him it's nothing but up, and he hasn't really posted any meaningful time, so very much understandable. Lucky Kira, Mohammed Hamdi probably feeling in P12 and P13 overall, make that P8 and P9 in the AMs.
Yes.
May feel like they're out of position and they will benefit from having another go. As we already said, you know, tire preservation is a key role, and you have to go through the whole process of warming up the tires again. And with 4 minutes 40 seconds when we resumed this session, and pretty much exactly 3 minutes remaining now,
yes,
I'm not surprised that many of the drivers feel like it's just not worth the hassle for the tires and the tire degradation that you have to go through for the vain hope of maybe getting another 10 or so out of it.
So the risk-reward for a number, they have decided, is not worth it. Okay, let's get a hot lap in from Lucky Kira here, the Greypool Birmingham driver, who, as I said in the introduction to the program, a 2-time Ferrari Challenge UK champion. And as you can see, he's done a personal best through Sector 1 as Lucky Kira. If he can continue with those blue colours, or better still even purple, then his position at the moment of P12 overall, but I think it was P8 within class. Indeed it was. P8 within class, as the number to the very left of the graphics on the bottom of your screen indicate, then it will have been worthwhile. So Lucky is a great driver and a great racer, and certainly played up to the cameras today, which is not always the case with Lucky. So we're about to round out Sector 2, where the target time is a 1:08.290. Can he get close to that? Well, the line is about to be crossed. It's a 1:09.173. Now, I think that is a personal improvement, well, guaranteed it's a personal improvement, because both Sector 1 and Sector 2 now are coloured blue. So it is the improvement from Lucky Kira, then the Greypool Birmingham driver. And he'll be heading to the Parabolica then, which is about to round out. And, well, his previous best time, a 1:41.371. As he crosses the timing line, it's a 1:41.252, Nico. But he can go again. So it wasn't an improvement on that occasion for Lucky. Can he find something in this lap? And this will be his last lap, because when he crossed the timing line, there was no more than 1:38 remaining, and therefore the flag will be out. Also out is Mohammed Hamdi. Mohammed Hamdi then is currently P12 overall, P8 within class. So the Ez Al Arab Automotive Company driver, whose Sector 1 was a little bit down. It looks to me like he's failed the lap. So Mohammed Hamdi feels that he has given it of his best. And the other car that is out there is the Armin Arifpour car. So the only one of any mention is probably Lucky Kira. No, Armin is still going for it, as you can see. And Mohammed Hamdi then make sure that he doesn't hinder his lap. There's Hanno Lascossi taking on a banana. And why wouldn't you? He has, of course, ended up third fastest in the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers, just bested by Marco Zanazzi and Franz Engstler. And Lucky Kira, we know, is out there, but in fairness, he's got a track limits through Sector 1, so he's probably not going to improve. Alicio Dono then is relaxing, and as you can see, has done enough with a 1:38.244. Carlo then alongside him there, always smiling, thumbs up for the camera. So driver of car number 9 report immediately to the stewards. Now that is the Danilo Del Favaro car. And the session therefore is just about done. We have seen what we thought would be the case, and that is that the pole positions weren't going to get altered until the session came to a close. And sure enough, Alicio Dono takes pole position for Trofeo Pirelli, and for the AM drivers, it's a good pole position for Marco Zanazzi.
Yeah, definitely. As we see, for who finishes the lap and who puts in a time, but it doesn't give him an improvement in position, so he stays in P18, but obviously we will see him in the race. Tom Fleming feels like, well, first row start, well, but P1 would have been better.
You could see Richard, his father there, Tom, who's got really big hair. I'll speak to him about tidying that up at some stage. Well, at least he's got some. Go on.
Well, maybe with some shorter hair, he might have found the 28 1,000s he would have needed. No, I don't think that's a fair assessment. I think he did a really good job. And
he's a great young talent, particularly when you consider that him in the Ferrari Challenge this year is his first full racing complement. Amazing young talent. Here's confirmation of the results then. Alicio Dono, the quickest, with a 1:38.244 ahead of Tom Fleming, P2. Marco Zanazzi, the best of the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. He's ahead of Franz Engstler and Hanno Laskovski. It was a great showing from Hendrik Weil. He is fourth fastest for AM drivers, and good quality from James Owen as well. So that's the way it looks. I should also give a big up to Simon Ladniak as well, who's third fastest in Trofeo Pirelli, and he set that time very early on in the session. So that's the way it looks here for qualifying for Trofeo Pirelli. Our grid is set, as it were, for the Trofeo Pirelli race to come a little bit later this afternoon. Hope you will join us for that. It's going to be awesome in the sunshine here in Estoril in Portugal. Ferrari Challenge qualifying for both our Copa drivers and also our Trofeo Pirelli drivers is now complete and done and dusted. Our grids are sorted. The drivers know where they will be starting. We know where the drivers will be starting. And therefore, all that's left for us to do is to say, make sure you join us for the races to come this afternoon as we take super slow-mo of our pole, sitting driver and car, and certainly not for the first time this season. It is Alicio Dono with a 1:38.244, just 2/100ths quicker than Tom Fleming, who will be going from P1. Pole position, and for the AM drivers it will be Marco Zanazzi, then the CDP Paniti motorsport driver, and Carlo congratulates Alicio with a right old shake there, and they going from pole position. So from Nico and from myself, thank you so much for watching qualifying. We'll see you for the races this afternoon. Bye bye for now.